Gladiators and contenders have undergone considerable training to appear in this videotape. Do not attempt to imitate their actions or recreate the events you are about to see. Every successful television program creates its own stars, personalities and heroes. Gladiators is no exception. When the program first hit our screens, 14 superfit athletes were catapulted into the public eye. Overnight, their faces were staring at us from newspapers, magazines and breakfast cereal packets. As ambassadors of fitness, fair play and healthy competition, they captured the hearts of children and adults alike. Gladiators was here to stay. This is the story of one of those gladiators.
Time to come along. You can take control and feel the drive. Going down to the final eliminator. Let's go and breaking it down with the gladiators. Once again, the ultimate challenge is back. You better be ready, no time to relax. Cause if you meet your opponent on the wall, you better pick up the pace or you'll be taking a fall. Twisting and turning up on the start buttons. Playing the joust, having a club box. Club over clubs, the only rule of the game. Keep your seat, compete to win, claim the fame. By weaving your way around the gladiators, you gotta duck them or dodge them and they'll eliminate you. Don't underestimate it. You'll be a fool to think that it is overrated. Cause you may see a dark town block out a lot. You only wanna run, but it's time to fight. And when you face the Jews, don't underestimate it. You'll be a fool to think that it is overrated. Cause you may see a dark town block out a lot. You only wanna run, but it's time to fight. And then you feel your knee bone turn to gel. Boom, boom, hit by the shell.
Hi, it's Jet here, and welcome to my video. You normally see me scaling the wall or hanging from the rings and hang tough. But I'm going to take you outside of the gladiator arena to see the girl behind Jet. A lot of questions that you've asked in your fan mail will be answered as you see me teaching and lecturing in dance and fitness. You see me playing the flute and singing. You see me presenting and broadcasting. Lots of different things, all the things that make Jet who and what she is. Before all that, there's something that, as gladiators, we have to do every day to try and keep our edge over the contestants. I want you to join me for a workout right now. Remember that what you're seeing is a workout specifically designed for myself, by myself. You see, I'm qualified in teaching health and fitness to all age groups. Everybody is different, and you must make sure that if you're going for advice or want to start working out, that you get proper qualified advice. Ask somebody if they're qualified, your PE teacher for instance, for giving you advice on how much weight to lift. I'm lifting weights in this workout, as you can see, but it's very specific for what I want to look like for gladiators and how I need to compete on, say, something like duel. The most important muscle of the body is the heart. You can never underestimate its strength. I love cardiovascular training. That's training for the heart and the lungs and the whole of the circulatory system. This is VersiClimber. I enjoy VersiClimber, but I enjoy all cardio training, as you've seen, or maybe seeing in the video. This is me cycling. Again, good cardiovascular activity, working the larger muscles of the body. I'm back to pulling some weights now. I'm working my back, the middle of my back. It's called the thoracic region of the back. Oh, swimming. Swimming is a great exercise. Sometimes I do it at the end of the workout just to cool off or to add some more cardio training. No stress on the spine or joints of the body. You see, since the war, we've become very sedentary. I just want you to increase your activity levels into your weekly and daily routine. You'll find that's quite enough to maintain how you look and feel fitter and stronger and even better about yourself. Looking after yourself is one of the hardest lessons we'll ever learn. I learnt it the hard way, but I can honestly say I've got there now. I'm enjoying a shower here. It's a jolly nice shower to enjoy myself in, I thought. Let's answer some more of your questions. Let's take you back up to the gym and answer some more of the questions that you asked in my fan mail. I was born in Middlesbrough General Hospital, and then I was brought up in Billingham, which is just a few miles outside of Middlesbrough, still in the county of Cleveland. And I was born on February the 13th, 1970, apparently on a very stormy night. And the first thing the midwife said to my mum is, "You've got a beautiful son, Mrs. Udale."
The rain was beating against the windows, and one of the surgeons said, "I don't like this. It's Friday the 13th, you know, it's unlucky." So I shouts up from behind the screen, "Do you mind? I'm not a bit superstitious." At that, there was one heck of a laugh, and we just got on with the job anyway. She arrived, and, well, from there, we knew very well she had arrived. She was full of energy from the word go. She stood on her head before she even walked or crept. She had hands everywhere. She was climbing everywhere. And, well, to be quite honest, I don't know how I got her to the age of 5 to go to school.
I went to a school called Brunner, and then I drove past Brunner about 4 years ago, and it wasn't there. It's the most bizarre thing, driving past where you once went to school. Yes, I remember the swinging bus, I remember the exams. It actually wasn't standing, just didn't exist, because it was built on what used to be marshes, and apparently the school was sinking about 4 inches every year. They amalgamated the school with another school nearby and called it Billingham Campus School. Well, look at here. That's me in the pink leotard. My friend Julie has the pink all-in-one on with a rather fancy long white skirt. I couldn't afford a long white skirt, so I made myself one out of sequins. I'm 10 here, and this is the first time I'd ever danced. I was so heavily into my gymnastics that things at school like this sort of just fell into place, but I did enjoy myself. At school, I showed obvious talent in various subjects, like everybody. Whoop, little free walk over. I suppose I was a bright student. I took direction well, which is something I still do. And oh, you need that for this business, show business, of course. You need to be able to take direction. That's Julie going for it. There I am. I can't believe that they took this footage. This is footage of a friend of my father's, one of the first video cameras I think that was ever invented. My gymnastic childhood stems back from 1976 when I watched Olga Korbut on television. She had such a panache and a kind of it was so attractive. It wasn't just the sheer competitiveness and how brilliant she was as a gymnast, because back then the standard was very different as to what it is today. I took up gymnastics, and continued gymnastics up until the age of 13. During that time, I was North of England Junior Gymnastic Champion for 4 consecutive years. I competed at a lot of big events. I maintained a standard which was pretty good for someone of my age and size, because at 11 I sort of shot up and quickly grew into a woman by the age of 13. These are some shots from the first clubs that I attended. One of my early coaches, Derek Gillespie, had to very quickly hand me on to Whitburn Gymnastics Club in the northeast of England, where the training facility was better. This is me, round off, double flick, and a somersault out of camera. June Groom, the lady talking, has an OBE for all her work that she did in sports education for the north of England. That groovy guy in the background with a funky tracksuit on is my dad. The photograph on the left is when he was 17. I think you can see why I needed to be a gladiator.
It was always something, I don't know, how do you describe it? Panache, I suppose that's the word. Something about the pleasure to want to do it. And that, I think that showed through a great deal throughout a gymnastic career. But it got to a point where Derek Gillespie said to me, Jack, I can take her no further. She has to go now to the Centre of Excellence, which is at South Shields. And it was a Mrs. Groom, of course, who was the chief coach there, and chief coach in the North East for all young ladies gymnasts. And, of course, that's where she went. And she finished her career there at the age of about, 13, 14-year-old, I think. Having a thought, I think she'd said something about at that time, she felt she'd done as much as she could do, but she was growing into a young woman then. Yes. And as you grow into a young woman, of course, you begin to see the risks a little bit more, and I think a little bit of that was in there.
I had one mental block, in fact, one night in the gym, and that is when I thought, well, hey, is it going to get worse, or am I going to get through it with no problem? And my father would then turn around and said, if you're going to pack him while you're at the top, choice is yours. And it wasn't a hard decision to make. I loved gymnastics. I loved what I got from it. The discipline, the artistic and creative freedom, and also the competitive element, which along the years obviously has come back in a show like Gladiators.
Her work on the floor always suggested to me that he was somebody also in love with dance. There was that something I mentioned earlier. You could see it, and you could see it in a performance. So immediately she finished her gymnastic career, within a week, she said, Dad, into the car, off to Darlington, and it was there where she started a dance career.
I first saw her in a local ballet class. She must have been about 14 years old. She stood out because of the extreme physical facility within the body. She was extremely strong for her age. She was also, although she was obviously a late starter, she was obviously a thinker, and it didn't take her long before she had caught up with her contemporaries, if not outstripped them. And she also had a very obvious love for music, which shone out in a very visible way, and it isn't very often you see those two qualities combined in a student, where they're physically very able and they're also very musical. That was my first impression of her, and later on I realised that there was also a strong creative drive as well. The need to create her own work and an interest in other art forms, which made her a very well-rounded student in all aspects. She did take some examinations. She started with pre-elementary, which is the first examination of the RAD, Royal Academy system. And she then went on to elementary. At about that level, at about the age of 15, she decided she wanted to branch out more into jazz and contemporary dance, and stopped doing exams at about that time and joined Cleveland Youth Dance Theatre, the county's youth dance group.
She auditioned for London Contemporary Dance, was successful, was a year with London Contemporary Dance. Then after that, she said, well, I want to broaden my base, if you like. She wanted to go into choreography and a little bit of acting and other things. So she moved from London Contemporary within a year to the Studio Centre in London, where she graduated, of course, and that was really where she is today, almost.
Some of the breaks weren't so glamorous. This is me playing the She-Wolf of London for HTV and Universal Pictures. It took 4 hours to get into makeup and 3 hours to get out of it. You know, it's so bizarre. The only thing I recognised was the colour of my eyes. And even then, sometimes I didn't. Wolf, eat your heart out. I decided to do a bodybuilding competition, but not in a way that you think. There are two forms for females. There's figure fitness and physique. Now, I think both are great, but my decision was to do figure fitness as I have a figure and I'm fit. And I'm not really a physique competitor. I don't have the mass and size that some women need to emulate to become of worthy competition in a physique category. I did one of these competitions and I won it. Some magazines had written quite favourably about me. There's a magazine called Bodybuilding Monthly. I decided to become a gladiator after I'd had a phone call from the casting director in the first year. His name was Andrew Norgate. I got the phone call and I rang them back and I said, I thought it was to be a contender actually, and having watched the American show I thought, oh, no thank you. You couldn't pay me enough to be a contender on a show like that, because they were incredible. And I still look at our contenders and think, wow, having the drive, the will, the confidence, the sheer competitive spirit to be a contender is beyond me. It's something that I don't think if I was a gladiator I would look at the show and think, I want to be a contender. Perhaps I'm not that competitive anymore, perhaps it's sort of worn out when I was a gymnast or something. And Andrew said, well no, actually it's we thought you might be good enough material to be a gladiator. Can you send some pictures or any footage or material of yourself, and we'll go from there, type of thing. So I sent a video of myself in action performing. I don't know about competing or bodybuilding, because here I am competing in a bodybuilding show. It took me about 6 weeks to get into this sort of condition. Not recommended. The reason being is because your body, if you do things quick to it like dieting at short notice, it sends it into distress. You should do it over a long period of time, which I do now. But I wanted to make a statement. I thought, I want to go into this competition and show that you can be feminine and curvy for bodybuilding, because there's two sides of bodybuilding. There's the physique and there's the figure fitness, which obviously my build lends itself to more readily. I combined my newfound love of fitness and fitness education with dance and performing. I really enjoyed doing it. It takes a lot of guts to pour yourself into a bikini and stand in front of an audience and do this sort of stuff. But that's just the point. If I had to stand still, it's awful, I can't handle it. But because I'm moving, and it's something I feel very comfortable with, I'm very comfortable behind the fact that I'm an accomplished and a well-trained dancer. I felt a lot better about it. And that's why I choreographed a routine like this rather than standing and doing poses, which are fairly traditional in figure fitness and in physique competitions. You know, I got penalised for doing routines like this, but it did get me noticed. Because this is the very video that I sent into the casting director of Gladiators to get me an audition. Ouch. Obviously I came over quite well, because then they said, well, we've got to decide on this. We're going to look at a few people to be gladiators. You might be on the list. Well, they're not giving anything away here. Okay, fine, fair enough. Because I've had years of castings and getting so close to big breaks, getting them and not getting them. So I've learnt to cope with, you know, disappointment and not getting the breaks. That's part of the life that I train for. And they rang me back a week later saying, yes, we'd like you to come along to the tryouts. Wait, she's doing that splitty thing again. During the next few minutes of the video, you'll recognise some faces that you've become very familiar with. Oh, not so familiar with, that's Cobra, and here's Scorpio. Scorpio and I go back quite a bit. We did the She-Wolf tryouts together and we both got right down. She did very well. She looked awesome even then. It's funny because we were put against each other in the Gladiator tryouts. Cobra. You've got to remember, none of us were gladiators at this point. There's me at the back, tucking my hair, all pumped up, trying to make myself look bigger because I felt very intimidated by all these very big people around me. Scorpio and I battled it out together. We also encouraged each other. She was incredible, shouting over to me all the time, come on, we can do it. She obviously did it a lot better than I. Shadow and Warrior, they were put against each other. They obviously both did very well. These are two incredibly big guys. Saracen's also a big guy, but just look at the agility. No legs. Up and down the rope 3 times in a very short space of time. We were jumping up and down and screaming with delight because he was absolutely incredible. Even John Anderson thought so. And that's saying something. There is only one. Scorp and I against each other yet again on the bunny hops. We had 2 minutes on this event. She was shouting over again, come on. So was John Anderson. And you'll even see, right towards the very end, she's still there, supporting. I was just too tired to acknowledge her. You're seeing Shadow and Warrior doing exactly the same thing now. You've got to remember these guys have been going for 2 minutes, and they're coming towards the end of the run, and they're just as tired. These are incredibly big guys, so obviously their heart's got to work that much harder to get the blood and the oxygen around their bodies. Whew. I wish I could be the duel master that Shadow is. Perhaps I should take some lessons. Here we are doing our squat thrusts, and I'm doing them very sloppily. But I got through. Oh, guess who? Our director took one look at him in the auditions and said, that is our Wolfman. We had to get our chest over this high beam. This wasn't about strength, this was about momentum and agility, something I have plenty of being a gymnast. Now, we're doing the assault course. I remind myself of Super Mario here. The little cat who I'm stotting over the assault course. No, I'm not showing off by doing that, by the way. My momentum is going forwards, and its best way to soak it up is by continuing it by doing a forward roll. Otherwise, I'd have gone forwards onto my hands and possibly hurt my wrists. That's my excuse. He is the poser, Warrior and Shadow. They look so cool all the way through. And Saracen at the top of the cargo net. Shadow just about to do the same thing. I've got to say, the tryouts were very hard, something we all felt for the next few days. Shadow's still looking awesome, but I think it was definitely worth it.
And that's where we came in. Ken Warwick, the associate producer, tells me that when he and Nigel Lithgow, the producer, first saw Jet, they immediately knew the look was right for what they wanted. But invariably, it's Murphy's Law that the people who look right can't perform, and vice versa. So they were delighted when not only did she look right, but went on that afternoon to virtually outpoint every other female in the room. As far as they were concerned, she was on her way to the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham and her first Gladiator series. And the rest, as they say, was history. The audiences immediately took her to their hearts, and as with all the other gladiators, the newspapers and magazines couldn't get enough of her. It was overnight stardom. The effect on her was obvious, but what about the rest of her family?
The effect it's had on my life, and I think I could speak here for Pat as well, is that obviously we have suddenly. Isn't it a strange thing how suddenly the father of the child, you get something like, well, of course that's Mr. Jet. You say, oh, that's Jet's dad. So my claim to fame these days, of course, is almost through that thing itself. I suppose it's had It's a rather a warming effect, really. It's rather nice for somebody to sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you know that is. Even when I'm lecturing now, I go out still lecturing, and I'm consultant on health and safety work. I go into a lecture room, and of course somebody in there is going to say, well, the first thing you got to know about this guy is, of course, he's Jet's dad. So when you say, of course, what effect it has on you, I suppose it has that effect, that you become a little more popular. I don't mind that, I can live with that, but I confess that we do like a bit of privacy, and the only difficulty that we've got to cope with is, of course, the dear old telephone and other people knocking on the door, wanting the autographs and the usual thing. But yeah, we can cope with that, I'm sure we can.
And they asked me, oh, my little grandchildren would love your daughter's autographs, picture in that. So it's affected me a lot, because I come home instead with just my shopping list and a few bits and pieces, which I haven't got all my shopping together because I've got to get home. Unfortunately, I've got lists to get this one's autograph, you know, and lists for her. So it has affected us quite a bit, I must admit. But we do our best for her.
And then all to us too. Sorry lads, can we all just move you over?
Of course, as always with the success comes the endless stream of interviews, personal appearances and photo shoots. Let's follow her on a typical day. Here she is on a PA for the anti-smoking campaign Snog, Not Smog, where she was voted as being the girl most men would like to kiss.
It's quite bizarre. I have to stop myself sometimes and think, look, this is the role you're in now, this is a game you're playing, you're in a business where people will be criticising and looking from the outside and making judgments purely on image or the athletic side that they see behind Jet. Of course, I know me and I do lots of other things, so it's really hard to get sort of an outside perception on it, and something like this has made me quite aware of that some people obviously find me attractive, which I do find bizarre. I'm totally modest, aren't I?
I must say, Shane, you are controlling yourself so well. You're just sitting there so calm, and inside you just must be thinking, wow.
I'm just a bag of nerves shaking, waiting for the big moment.
Let's see the hands, are they shaking? Definitely. Just a little bit, just a little bit. So away we go.
No, why? Now you've met me, what do you think? It must be really bizarre when you like look at someone in a magazine or on TV and think, wow, she's nice or he's nice. What's it like when you actually meet that person?
You do look a bit different from what I imagined you to look like in the papers. Not in your costume, so it's the first time I haven't seen you in a costume, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit different in the papers.
Look a bit different.
What about yourself? What do you think of Shane now you've met him? You must have heard about him. What do you think now you've met him?
I think he's lovely. I mean, he's athletic and intelligent and handsome and he's saying carry on.
Will you come back next week and tell us how you get on?
Yeah. Oh, we will, Chuck.
So away we go. Can we have the big moment again? Just
yeah, sure.
This is, well, actually this is the first time you're about to kiss for the first time. This is what you've always wanted. So what feelings, last thoughts before it happens, going through your head?
Oh, just really nervous now.
What about for you, Jet?
Really nervous. I think I'm going into combat like in Gladiators again. I'm combating my nerves, having you guys all listening to me while I'm snogging, basically, a complete stranger.
Any final chat-up lines?
No, none coming to the mind at the moment, just shaking.
Oh, he's just shaking, he's just shaking.
You have this man, an uncontrollable wreck.
I don't know why.
Away you go, away you go. Bit of noise,
Okay.
please. Wow, that's over now, that's the kiss. Was it worth the wait?
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there are two parts to the addiction. There's the habit. Lots of people get addicted to the habit, which is what they find when they get into a particular situation that it's very hard to break. For instance, if you're going out to the pub to have a drink or whatever, you always associate that drinking and smoking. And other people do get much more physiologically addicted. So there are two kinds of things you have to break there, two kinds of addictions.
It's very sad because obviously, you hear of a lot of adults who are so craved on packing because it must be costing them a fortune. They've spent probably 20-30 years smoking, probably put quite a few nails in their coffins as well, and it is quite sad. But anyway, I'm sure Snog Not Smog is doing a great job with the Health Education Authority behind it. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Shane.
And then straight into the car for a biographical interview with News of the World Sunday magazine, who are doing a feature on her.
Music all the way through my childhood. I played the violin. That was very quickly traded in when I was 11 for the flute, because they get a more satisfying sound more easily out of the flute. And I was in various youth orchestras, school orchestras, both on the flute and violin, up until the age of 16. So that's it's a sort of interlink I've kept with my brother. My brother is now a school teacher. He did a degree in chemistry and actually was a lab technician, which is really strange because I used to get kids saying, "Got your kidder next for chemistry," which is really strange because he was actually teaching at the school where I was at one point. He then went into teaching for special needs, which is what he still does, at Abbey Hill special needs school, still in Teesside.
Well, as you can see, I'm outside BBC Broadcasting House, where I'm going to be presenting a show called Take 5 on Radio 5. Here's my script. It's all there. I've had it all rehearsed. It's all ready. I've been doing it for about a year now, but I get nervous before every show. It's great when you're running your own show. But today it's really interesting because Saracen is going to be coming in because he's going to be taking over from me. He's going to be running his own show tomorrow. Well, enough of this banter. I've got to love you and leave you because I better go and get on with my job.
Right now it's Take 5.
Go.
Good morning here on BBC Radio 5. Mike Lewis, aka Saracen from the Gladiators, will be taking the poodle stick over as he heads his own show tomorrow. Also, Jeff Dawson from Empire Movie Magazine will be coming in to review what's hot and what's not. And who will win the Oscars?
Gladiators. Go.
And of course, it's my last chance to play with you guys out there, my gladiator game, Danger Zone. So if you, like 25,000 other people, fancy being on Gladiators or being a gladiator, a contender, whatever it may be, then here's a much simpler way to play with me, as you can play the radio version. You're going to be facing me on one of my favourite events, the Danger Zone.
But if you're thinking of seeing a film this evening or over the weekend, then my guest this morning will be able to help you out. Jeff Dawson is here. He's Take 5's film reviewer, and I've got my popcorn ready, Jeff. So Wayne's World 2.
Wayne's World 2.
Do the jokes travel across the Atlantic? I'm shot. I've gone away. I've peeked and gone. Do the jokes travel across the Atlantic as easily, perhaps, as they did in the first one?
Yeah, I didn't think it was quite as good as the first one. The first one, you know, Wayne and Garth, you know, as they say on the advertising, you'll laugh again, you'll cry again, you'll hurl again.
Is that what they say?
Which you do in measure, but when in the first film they were quite fresh, the characters, you didn't know anything about them, and now you're kind of a bit familiar with them, so it kind of loses it a bit, but it's still very entertaining.
All the very best. Good luck.
Contender ready?
Yeah!
Wait! Gladiator ready?
Great, that was a good one. Yes, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Go, Beck.
Okay, multiple choice. The type of dogs most frequently used for racing are A. Labradors, B. Greyhounds, or C. Jack Russells.
B.
It is. What am I describing? It's a game of struggle in which two teams test their strength by pulling against each other with a rope. The teams stand at opposite ends. Yes. Name 5 different sports you can do in icy conditions.
Ice hockey.
Yeah.
Skating.
Yeah.
Skiing.
Yeah.
Football.
Yes. Football. Come on. There's
No to football.
No to football. There's all sorts of things. You can go skating, perhaps.
Formula 1 racing.
Oh, right. You've won a prize anyway of...
Contender, you've won a Gladiator backpack.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's take that to school next week. Oh, it'd be great if I could perhaps sign it or get Saracen to sign it as well. Who's your favourite guy in the show?
Shadow.
You're not meant to say Shadow. Okay, moving swiftly onwards. Well, I am really sad. I am really, really sad because it is my last day. I've had a great time. When I was spotted over a year ago to go into presenting and they trained me up and everything, I didn't realise I'd started enjoying it quite as much as I have. But I'll be leaving you in the safe hands of another gladiator. He's here. He made such an entrance. It's Mike Lewis, better known to you as the one and only Saracen, the heartthrob of the group. Are you ready? Are you ready to take over the mic?
Yes, I'm ready. I've been prepared. I've been watching your show this morning. I've I've picked up a few tips.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm ready to hit the airwaves.
Hit the airwaves tomorrow,
Yes.
first thing. It'll be your first radio programme, won't it?
This will be, yes, my first.
But you've been in loads of interviews over the past couple of years with the show, haven't you? So
I have been, but I haven't actually had my own show, and this will be mine.
Yes!
My own very own.
Your very own first
radio
to show us. Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, I am, as it goes.
Yeah.
Bit nervous.
You don't. I mean, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing normally? Because I'm very proud of Saracen because we're very busy in Gladiators. He is one of the guys that has managed to hang on to the other elements of his life, which is.
I am a full-time fireman.
Wow. Unworthy! I am unworthy!
Let's get off the floor, Jen.
Get off the floor! It's great. I mean, obviously, you go around saving... It's just a little job that you go around saving people's lives.
Yeah, in my spare time I go around and rescue a few cats out of trees and things like that. Yeah.
Do you ever get frightened in your job?
No, it's not a frightening job.
Right.
It's quite a good experience.
You are a real-life superhero.
Well,
I'm going to have
you.
to start wrapping up the show here because we're running out of time. Who's going to be your guest and who you got on your show?
My guest tomorrow is Tom Harris. He's a specialist in special effects.
Right.
And he does special effects on such shows as London's Burning, which we'll be discussing tomorrow.
All right, excellent. Jeff and Saracen, I'm going to bid you goodbye, and all you guys out there before I trail the end of the show. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Stay fit, fun, and funky forever, and until next time, I'll see you then.
And here we are. I'm handing the pugil to Saracen, and he's taking the seat. He's in the hot seat. Behind the mic, there's my producers, Helen and Julie. I enjoyed that. That was my last day in 5. That's Saracen doing his trailer for the next day. It's a wrap for me. Now for a nice, blissful day off.
God, I'll have to get Malie to pull me up next time. This is just one of the things I like to do when I've got time to relax, is that I come here, this is the North Downs in Surrey, and I'll do some lovely brisk hill walking with my dog. As I said, I will get a leader for him to pull me up the hill in future, but when I'm preparing for Gladiators, you'll find me actually running. I'll have my running gear on, my Ron Hills and lots of other Fandango stuff, but I still have the same hat, so still a black, eat your heart out. There's lots of other things I like to do when I'm relaxing. I love music, all different forms of music, classical right through to Aboriginal and South American. I play classical violin and flute, although I play the flute more now. I don't have time to play the violin. But what I've done in the last few years is go more into jazz and other sort of modern forms of music. My brother, who's been writing music for years, was sort of influenced by groups like Genesis and Pink Floyd. So I had that in Morning, and my father, who's very classical based, had a lot of opera playing. He sang quite a bit, had a great voice. And so I was very confused. I had my sort of classical opera here and Pink Floyd here. But a great awareness of music arose through being brought up with that around me. And I play sometimes with my brother. I'll front his band and I'll play the flute, fronting his music.
time. She reads her maps to move along, back to lands extolled in virtue by elders in her youth. But then to find lost in deserts and hardly left behind, on her knees down to pray, to bring down the rain, bring down the rain, to ease the pain, just once again. Bring down the rain, bring down the rain, to ease the pain, just once again. Bring down the rain, oh Lord. Bring down the rain, oh. Bring down the rain, bring down the rain, ruin the rain, just once again. Bring down the rain, bring down the rain, to ease the pain, but just once again. Bring down the bring down the rain, bring down the rain, to ease the pain, but just once again. Bring down the rain, bring down the rain, to ease the pain, but just once again. Bring down the
For the past 4 years, I've been active in the teaching industry, in teaching health and fitness and dance. I overcame the illness of bulimia, and I did that through gaining more knowledge. And that spurred me on to want to be a teacher and pass on all the information, all the things that I learned that helped me get better. Because surely if it helped me, it would help a lot of other people. And those are the best reasons for ever wanting to be a teacher. With teaching aerobics, you've got to have your teaching points clear and concise. You've got to be well qualified physiologically so you know what you're doing with the joints and the body so you're not damaging anybody. Be able to accommodate people in a group that might have injuries, or might be in early stages of pregnancy, or might be a lot younger or a lot older than what you think they are. I enjoy learning and I enjoy teaching. With my dance background, my choreography can be quite creative and quite infectious, but it means that my breakdown of what I'm doing has to be very clear and concise, otherwise some people find it a little harder to keep up. Some of the people in this class are actually aerobics teachers themselves. While I'm being Jet, I don't get the chance to teach consistently like I used to over the past 3 years. So whenever I do get the chance, and there's a health club around and they ask me to come in and do a guest class for them, then I jump at the chance. I combined all my experiences and all my knowledge of the things I've been through over the past 13 years and plus into a lecture called Knowledge is King. You see, at a very early age I developed the illness of bulimia. I couldn't eat properly without wanting to get rid of the food because I thought I was ugly and I would get fat and put on weight. The opposite was true. The more I tried to get rid of food, the fatter I got, because your body actually starts to slow down and compensate for it, so it's not the answer. I learnt physiologically the way out, but also mentally and emotionally I discovered a lot about the female psyche. In other words, how we think we are, how we think people perceive us, and what's more important is how we should be thinking about ourselves. If you repress, you rebel. Never ever say, no, that's naughty, can't do that, because I bet your bottom dollar you want to do it even more. And that goes for food, that goes for a lot of things. I'll tell you something I've let myself do an awful lot is teach younger guys dance. I love dance, and I teach it very safely. So I apply a lot of my health and fitness principles to teaching dance. A good safe warm-up for the girls there, raising the pulse rates, make sure that all the joints are nicely warm. But I keep it well funky. And it brings a lot of the girls out of themselves, particularly girls that are starting later on in life, because I didn't start dancing until I was 14, which is quite late for some dancers, but within 2 years I was a professional and working. So I always believe it's not, you know, what your background is and how old you are and this and that, it's what you want, it's what's inside that's more important. And what is important is all you guys sat out there watching me. All the Gladiator fans, the incredible letters and gifts that you've made and bought and have sent to me. I can't thank you enough. You make me feel very humble. You really are what keeps the show going, and people like Jet out there, I do appreciate it. Some of these guys are pretty good, aren't they? There's some that might obviously go on and have careers. There's one girl, Nikki. So let's leave the dance studio now and return to the Gladiator Arena to see some of my favourite Jet clips.
In the last series, there were some events that I found a lot easier than others. Let's take, for instance, in show 2, where I was on the wall and I faced Rowan Duxbury. She was incredible, had a great personality and came over very positive on camera. A mother of 2, you name it, housewife superstar, and certainly one of the best contenders we had.
Rowan's going to be pursued by Jet.
The Jet, a real crowd pleaser and a former member of the national gymnastics squad.
And Rhian will be chased by Zodiac.
Zodiac, one of the new members of the team. She's currently the women's British pole vault champion. The girls have got a lot to do if they're going to win in this company.
3, 2, 1.
And they're off. Gladiators will be after them after 10 seconds, and they'll need a good head start. Reach those first overhangs before the second whistle goes. And Gladiators are off, and the chase is on. Jet on Rowan making up great pace there. Look at this, she's caught her already. But look at Rhian, leaving Zodiac in her wake. Jet getting to grips. And cannot get Rowan off the wall. But Rhian's over the top, she's got 10 points, well done. Rowan still managing to cling to that wall. There's her sister telling her, hang on. Oh, but she's off. No points there. And Sophie's first to go.
Yes, up there on the Hang Tough platform is Sophie. And she's going to be against Jet.
And school teacher Sophie swoops out into no man's land. 50 feet between her and Jet's platform. And both girls look very comfortable up there. Oh, Sophie tries to slip past Jet. And Jet goes for the body scissors. And Sophie tries to tie her up. Jet puts the weight on her body, presses the down button, and it's final time. Oh. Now, has Jet hurt her back? No, she's fine.
And next up is our power lifter, Helen. Over to John Anderson.
Contender ready! Gladiator ready! 3, 2, 1.
It's swing time, and this is Helen's favourite event. Well, she's certainly got the upper body strength. But is it a match for the skill of Jet? Jet biding her time before she moves in. Come into my parlour, said the spider to the fly. Jet locks on with those body scissors. Helen proving her strength one-handed there. Oh, but look at Jet proving her skill by taking her down. Eat Matt.
The wall, I've got to admit, it was one of my most favourite events in the last series. I think it's because I had a clean slate all the way through. Hope it keeps up. But there are other events, like Skytrack, which I didn't find so easy. To start with, you see, in show 5, when I faced someone like Jackie Thompson, you'll see I didn't do quite so well. The first time I did Skytrack was in that very show, in front of 9,000 people in the audience and a possible 40 million at the end of the camera. I wasn't nervous. Not. You see, the morning when we actually prepared and rehearsed for something like Skytrack was when I just had a small injury in my back, which needed seeing to, so I couldn't be there for rehearsals. They thought, oh, Jet, well, she's agile, she's fast, she's one of our lighter gladiators, and Skytrack should be no problem for her. Take a look at this.
Gladiators ready!
There's the detonator. The gladiators will attempt a strike.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, Jet a little previous on that start, but the ref's letting it go. And look at Lightning accelerating. It's like she's got into another gear. Lightning doesn't want to make any mistakes. Waits for Lisa to slow down as she goes into the bend. And takes her out. Well, now it's all about Jet and Jackie. And it looks like Jet's running out of fuel. She doesn't look comfortable up there. And now she's not even using her legs. Jackie's going to take the checkered flag. She's left the Jet in her jet stream. Yes, 10 points.
Disastrous, wasn't it? But no excuses in Gladiators. Because in show 7, you'll see that I improved slightly. I faced Cyrilene Clark, and I'd also discovered, because I'd had a little bit more chance to discover this new event, Skytrack, that my harness needed some serious readjustment. I think it made a bit of a difference.
3, 2, 1.
Away first time, it's Zodiac on Susan, Jet chasing Cyrilene. And into the bend. And it looks like making great progress as Jet comes up on Cyrilene. Tremendous acceleration, got her on the corner there. Can Zodiac make Susan Sparks fly? Here she comes, gets it on the trigger. Double takedown.
It's a bit of a difference, wasn't it? Let's move on to something like Hang Tough. I suppose it's a Jet event, if you like. To a lot of the gladiators, it's one of the most nerve-wracking because you're up there for such a long time, all eyes are on you, so it's a very big, high-profile event. And also, you've got to do good because it's so long, people have lots of time to say, oh, she's doing this wrong, she's doing that wrong, and it builds up the tension very, very effectively. So I must admit, I'm a bundle of nerves before something like Hang Tough. But I am quite confident, even to the way I point my toes, and I'm sort of developing my legs to get more balance. I'm not trying to show off, it's probably the only way I can do it. Show 9, I face Paula Bisley and Pauline Oliver. It's quite interesting how you watch these two conquests.
And up on her platform, waiting to hang tough, is Pauline! And she's going to be facing Jet! Over to John Anderson.
Contender, ready! Gladiator, ready! Three, 2, 1.
It's swing time. Now, Pauline didn't do very well in this event last time out. Not at all comfortable up there. If you look at Jet, a natural aerial technician. Homes in like a missile. And made contact, body scissors on. And Pauline doing everything to make sure that she doesn't get taken down. Jet on. Press the down button.
And the second lady to face Jet is Paula! Over to John Anderson.
3, 2, 1.
Well, Paula picked up 5 points in this event in her preliminary. She'll be hoping to match or even better that this time out. Out for those body scissors, Paula, and I wouldn't turn your back on the Jet either. Well, she's in the scoring zone. No one seems to have a game plan. Paula seems to be happy just to hang there. Jet one ringed and in trouble. Time up. Well, Jet not getting to grips at all there.
You win some and you lose some. A great event like Hang Tough, you can't go wrong with great contenders like Paula and Pauline. A new event like Tilt, well, what can I say? In show 11, I faced Helen Williams. Helen Williams is a powerlifter, an incredibly strong girl, and I think she weighed in at something like 13 stone. I weighed in at just over 9 in last year's show. It was quite interesting.
First pull.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, Jet. Oh. Well, that was on the cards.
Take the string.
Second pull.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, Jet gets the table back this time. And how is Jet managing to hold her? Sheer determination. She's outgunned and outnumbered up there. I can't believe this. She must have super glue on her feet. Look at that. Yes. 2 points.
Interesting, huh? It just goes to show it's not always size against size and strength against strength. Looks can be very deceiving. You see, a lot of it is what's in here and in here. If you believe in yourself enough, and not just in a show like Gladiators, but throughout a lot of things in life, you can get there and you can do it. I didn't win, but it wasn't the winning that was important. You'll see, you go on to win in other things. In show 14, I face Helen again, but on an event like The Wall, which I've already said is very much more up my street.
3, 2, 1.
Well, let's go. As it's the semi-final, first to the top picks up 10 points, second to the summit 5, and we've made it tougher by removing some strategic hand grips at the top of the wall. Here comes trouble. And the contenders' high hopes turn to high anxiety as Zodiac and Jet begin their ascent. And Jet closing in. She's got Helen's ankle. And Zodiac gets the grip with Georgina. Oh, strips her off the wall. And Jet struggling with Helen. Powerful lady hanging on with both hands to that one grip. Oh, finally yanks her off the wall. And Jet maintains that 100% track record in this event.
There we go. A nice end to my run on the wall. Perhaps 94 will hold something very different for me on the wall. Looking back at the series in 93, I can honestly say that during every single show that was shot, there was something special. There was something which was very memorable. For instance, Nightshade on Suspension Bridge with Pauline Oliver very early on in the show. You know, going hammer and tongs, and all of a sudden, Nightshade's down, you don't think she's going to make it, and then she's up 1 second before the end. Poof, she wins. Very unexpected considering the time span. In every single show there was something which we all sat down in our, we call it the pig pit or the pig pen, where we sit backstage and watch on the monitor what's going out in the arena. We all sit and we were on every single show. It was incredible. And I must admit, the nerves and how we all support and feel about the show, our events and our roles as gladiators at the back of the arena are just as intoxicating. We're there, fighting it out, supporting each other, and hopefully giving you one of the best shows that TV has ever seen. Well, that's it for my video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's answered some of your questions as well. I want you to remember one thing. As you've seen, I have no special background or upbringing, but I've got some talents and abilities which I've used, got more experience at, got more education. Things don't just land in your lap. You've got to put them there. It's up to you. I'm not special. I've gone out and done it. You can do the same. I want you to stay fit, fun and funky forever. And I'll see you on the next series. Bye.